Hello and a very warm welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast, where we are previewing the final 3 days of Ascot, the Royal meeting. We've had 2 days, we've had plenty of success on the pod as well. First day was a particularly good day, and we hit the frame with a few on the first day. And indeed, today, as we're doing this, which is Wednesday evening, we've got Thursday, Friday and Saturday to get through. 8 races. We're going to have a handicap bet section as well and a best bet section for you. And we'll crack on with the racing shortly. I'll say a quick hello to Sam Turner. You've hit the frame with plenty of big prices, Sam.
Yeah, I'm no Hugh Taylor, am I? Hugh's knocked it out of the park again, I think, today. So congratulations to him. But yeah, just second and third place podium for me, unfortunately, this week. Yeah,
Hugh Taylor managed to beat my selection, who'd won over the far side. I was watching the near side.
Sorry to mention that, Tom. Sorry.
Yeah, cheers. We've got this. Oh, the far side's one.
Yeah, I've got the name of a good counsellor, if that helps.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. Thank you, Jonesy. We haven't heard from you on the initial pod. How you got on this week so far?
Yeah, not bad. I was on Astro King as well. So I think when everyone starts to make a big thing about the draw, you might as well just go the other side immediately, because that's always what happens. And Berkshire Shadow, I was really keen on him yesterday, so glad to see him sneak up the rail.
Yeah, Rixie put up that horse. I was coming into this. I was going to say, when you get to the Britannia, go for the other side, but it's already happened. So there you go. But that did happen a few years ago. Bless him. But there we are. We'll see what happens draw wise. Dees, how are you, pal? You're all match booked up.
All good. Inside in the room with the matchbook wallpaper now. Happy out. Have my little rubber duck with his top hat on as well. Getting in the mood.
Is he called Steve?
No, he's called Ducky. Sorry.
Okay.
Very original.
What a stupid question. Apologies all. If you're listening on the pod, Deasy actually has a little rubber duck with a top hat on. Of course, we wouldn't expect any less. We've done well so far. So this is what we've had to date. Winners, we had Lope Fernandez. That was Rixie's best bet. He did so well. We haven't asked him back. It was without Palace Pier. Went off at 5.8 on the Matchbook Exchange. Berkshire Shadow, whose industry starting price was actually 12.0, went off 13.5 on the Matchbook Exchange, so you were getting better odds there. Oxted won the King Stand 5.6, and today we managed to find Quick Susie winning the Queen Mary, Gavin Cromwell, Stayers Hurdles, and 5 furlong races for fillies. Easy as that. These are some of the places. This is basically the roll of honour for Sam. Apologies. Sabuska 23.0, Arecibo 29.0. I found Astro King, as did Jones, as I said, 6.5 was bigger when we put it up, and Grove Ferry 13.0. Sorry, Sam, we're going to go one or two better with a few of those big prices, hopefully in the coming days. Time to think about the Matchbook offer, the ongoing Matchbook offer for new customers only. You saw there that with Matchbook, you are very likely to be getting best odds or better odds than with your sports books. And you're certainly likely to be getting that with the fact that you can get 0% commission on all sports for 30 days. It's for new customers only. When you sign up for those 30 days onwards from that, 0% commission. And that's on all sports. So the fact that we've got the US Open, the golf coming up, we've got the ongoing Euros, now we've got the end of Royal Ascot and plenty more besides. So all sports, 0% commission for 30 days. Just use the bonus code INSIGHTS. And we're going to crack on with the racing, with the previews. Deesh, you're going to do prices for the first day. I know that. So let's kick things off. This is all the remaining Group 2s and Group 1s we're going to be going through first of all. So the first race on Thursday is the Norfolk. Take it away.
Yeah, so Catamosto has gone favourite the last few minutes now. He's 6.4. Then you have Lucci is 7.8. Instinctive Move is 9.6. Go Bears Go is 11.0. Project Dante is 9.0. Nakatomi is 11.0. Second Win 14.5. Corker 15.0. Andreas Vasilius is 17.0. And then Perfect Power is 15.0. And then you're into the big prices.
I would love to start with a man in his big house in the Cotswolds, Steve Jones. Who's going to win the Norfolk?
Everyone always says it looks like a little house. Well, it's not a big house.
It's a little house, isn't it? It's a big.
It's got to be a big house.
Little house. Go on,
Jonesy.
Yeah, it is getting a bit out of control, isn't it? The problem is it grew down like here in lockdown, and now it's growing on the top. Perhaps Dees ought to try it sometime. But
and me, to be fair.
Well, everyone bar Tom Stanley. I can't believe that the only time I agree with Rixie and we weren't on together. But Berkshire Shadow has a bit of an influence on this race, in my opinion, because Instinctive Move was a really nice winner, I thought, at Bath. Now, Bath is a nice track, but it's quite a small track. You don't see many superstars there. But this was a really good race, the maiden that Instinctive Move won there last month. And it's not the easiest track, Bath. It's especially for a 2-year-old. And I didn't think he totally handled it, but he was a really impressive winner. And the horse he beat was Poderoso, who on debut had finished 3rd to Berkshire Shadow, only beaten 3/4 of a length. Gisborne, who came out next time and won at Newbury by 6 lengths, was in 4th. So I think that's really good form. And I think with Clive Cox obviously having a good record at Royal Ascot with his 2-year-old, well, with all horses, but he gets these really smart 2-year-olds, know what they're doing. It's got a middle draw, which I don't think is going to be a problem. And what I will say is it's interesting that Cadamosto was favourite when Deasy put them up there. I would be strongly against this horse if there was any rain, and we're forecast a bit of it's sort of conflicting. The main forecast is for more rain Friday, but there is going to be rain overnight, and if it goes soft, if it's more rain than expected, I would be laying Cadamosto to place, because I think his pedigree is all about the all-weather and fast ground, and so I'd be worried about that, especially as he's drawn out on the wall. But I will go with Instinctive Move, who's quite as things go, quite a strong fancy for me.
Steve, I'm just going to tie you down on the lay if you don't mind, because I think it's worth noting. So if the going was officially soft, would you lay Cadamosto a place, or what would it have to take the ground to be for you to do that?
Yeah, it would probably have to go soft, yeah, because we're starting on quite quick ground, well, very quick ground, which is probably Chris Stickles, the clerk of the course, probably felt he couldn't put much water on last night because of the forecast, quite rightly, in my opinion. So you are starting on fast ground, but if it did go very soft, and that would also help Instinctive Move, because his pedigree is all about soft ground, really. The dam, I don't know if people remember Peach Melba, but she loved soft ground. So I think this horse, if it did go soft, this horse could go off favourite, in my opinion. So the prices there are great.
I think you hit on something that we're expecting. There is a fair bit of rain around. Now they might not get as much as expected, but I mean they could get a heck of a lot. So that doesn't make life easy. Sam.
No, it doesn't. And it's really difficult to predict what's going to happen for the rest of the week, really. I've sort of tried to make my assumptions and base form study that there is going to be probably upwards of 10 mil, which is what they were expecting. That for me would significantly soften the ground, and hopefully that is the case. Otherwise, I'm going to be stuck with a load of mudlarks who aren't going to go a yard on fast ground if Ascot miss the showers. I'll take a little chance here with Go Bears Go. As a Worcestershire fan, singing that, if that goes home in front, is going to stick in the throat a little bit with the Bears being Warwickshire, of course. But I was really taken with him first time. It was a breeze up purchase, 150 grand. Another one that Kia Rubichan of Ammo Racing has spent a lot of money on. A number of good juveniles, 2-year-olds he's got this year that look as though they've been ready to go first time. And this was certainly the case with this lad, who quickened up well after being very professional in front. Clocked a good speed figure. He's drawn 5, as we've seen this afternoon. That's no barrier to success particularly. He's got former Ascot, which Chipotle had, which is obviously a handy thing with experience, a good attribute to have. So he's a double figure price, I think. I'll back him, win and place. And if the ground does change, on the soft side, he won't be inconvenienced by that. So he'll do for me. And didn't Dave Lockname run a 2-year-old here last year that ran really well at a big price in the Queen Mary? Or did he have 2nd and 3rd in one of the 2-year-old races, I think? So they really know the time of the day with juveniles.
Go Bears Go for you, for a team in Ammo Racing going along really nicely. I'm going to take a chance on Project Dante, purely because I quite like it when a yard has what seemed to be a good group of juveniles who might just be underestimated. And Brian Smart seems to have a nice group of 2-year-olds. I think 3 of them are won first up. This was one of them. The time was pretty good, and the 2nd and 3rd are won since. I think he unfortunately shortened up a tiny bit. Was that I think there was about 14.0 around, but that's gone. But it's not really a draw selection. It's just I think he's a bit underestimated from a yard who seemed to have some nice juveniles, and the York performance came with a bit of dead gut underfoot. So it would be small stakes, win and place for me with Project Dante for the Norfolk. Let's kick on to the Ribblesdale. And I haven't asked Deasy, have I? That's just brutal. It's because Jonesy took so long. Sorry, Deasy.
You're probably right not to ask me. I'll be very, very quick. I like Joseph O'Brien's horse, Andreas Vesalius. He's run 3 times. He won last time out about a couple of weeks ago in Naas. I think he's improved with every run. He's drawn 14, which mightn't be the right one after the last few races, but he will handle the soft ground. I've gone all in on soft ground horses and heavy ground horses for this. So if the rain doesn't come, I'm in serious trouble. But I think he's 17.0. I'll be having a little win place bet on him. He's by Caravaggio. I think he should handle the ground. He should be rapid. So.
Hello, that's a fair price, 17.0. Sorry, Dees, won't happen again. And 4 different horses. So Instinctive Move and a lay with Cadamastro if it does go soft for Jonesy. Sam Gobez go. DC Andreas Vesalius. And I'm with Project Dante. Let's move on to the Ribblesdale. And Dees, you can take us through the prices.
Yeah, so Noon Star is the favourite at 3.5. Then you have Divinely 6.4. Gloria Monday is 6.6. Ashad is 6.0. Twisted Reality is 9.0. Dubai Fountain is 10.5. Then you have Ad Infinitum is 20.0. Taslima is 28.0. Loving Dream is 29.0. Nicest is 48.0. And Anarville is 30. But I don't think those are real prices, to be honest. The big price for the rest.
Yeah, the market will fill in, and there will be bigger prices. The rest, Sam, I'll come straight to you.
Okay, I'll keep it brief. About Noon Star anti-post for the Oaks, so it was a bit of a kick in the teeth that she suffered from that low-level blood disorder just prior to the meeting and didn't make it to Epsom. It might have been a blessing in disguise, but you have to think that the fact that Snowfall beat her off a steady pace over a mile and a quarter at the Dante meeting, that she might well have finished quite close in the Oaks and at least got placed. I think that form would be good enough to win this race. She won't mind if it's rain overnight because she won over a mile at Nottingham. So I think she's got everything in her armoury really to deliver a big performance here. Hopefully she gets a good run through. Obviously it's quite a big field for the Ribblesdale, but I wouldn't have thought a mile and a half would be any problem for her, given that she's so beautifully bred at a midday. So should be well suited to Ascot, and rather an original selection. But I got that Weatherby race very good on the speed figures, and I'm going to stick with the form.
Yeah, I agree with you. I didn't back for the Oaks. That anti-post bet reminds me a bit of that Edwardstone bet that Jonesy had for the Champion Hurdle. It's a really good bet, just got unlucky. I don't have much to add really. I'm just surprised she's not a bit shorter based on the form is. She's clearly got the best form, and I think she's the class in the race. I wasn't rushing to back those in behind in the betting, Divinely and Gloria Mundi, and there's nothing really tempting me in at a big price. So I think this could be a day for shorties, to be honest. And I've got very little to add to the selection of Noon Star. Steve Jones.
Gloria Monday, good to hear that you're not interested in that, because that makes me even more confident. I thought she did well to come from off the pace at Newbury on her debut when she beat a more experienced filly. And next time, I thought she challenged on the far side, Ishada, who is also in this field, challenged more towards the near side, which I thought was favoured. And it's just that I thought she'd stay. I'm getting a bit of interference. Who's interfering with me? No, I thought I was getting a lot of blowback. But I thought stepping up in distance, you put me off now. Oh, I'm poor. I'm easily put off. I thought stepping up in distance is just what she wants. She's a really strong stayer, and if they go a good pace, I think she will be good enough. I think she's got to improve a hell of a lot going up in distance.
I want to clip up Steve just saying, "Who's interfering with me?"
We can do that.
You're all right.
We must do that.
You sounded great, James. Gloria Monday for you. Good stuff. Right, let's move on to Dees. I'm joking. Who do you fancy, Dees? Who you got, bud?
I think Noon Star is probably the most likely winner. I think the Musador is strong form, but the form of the stout horses will put me off now at the moment. He's hitting the post a lot. She's plenty short. So I took a swing at 2 at big prices. I went for Ad Infinitum was the first one I kind of looked at. Her last run in Goodwood was an absolute Jamie Spencer masterclass. Just sat out the back and just cruised through. But it was in terrible conditions. It was really heavy ground, and you can actually see during the run she swerves way out to the left because of a gust of wind, and she really grounded out. I thought she won well, and she's a big price. She was 20 minute second there now. What was that? She's 20.0, and she's actually been supported a small bit since I was up this race earlier. The other one I thought was a massive price was Donnacha O'Brien's horse, Nicest. She ran in the Chester Vale. She finished third actually behind Dubai Fountain, but she was the chosen mount of Ryan Moore that day. She ran fine. She ran fairly well. She wasn't like same as Legicon that she wasn't really killed once the front two got away from her. Last time she ran wide at the Curragh. She ran a bit wild. Now to be honest, she was a bit all over the place, but she was staying on at the very end. And that was over a mile 2. I think over a mile 4, she would have won that race. And again, she's an absolutely massive price. She is 48.0. So I'm going to back both of them with like a quarter win and a good chunky place, and hope that this kind of cuts up in the background.
Yeah, big prices there. I might just come back to you on the stout form. I just looked at the stats. It's 2 from 20 this month, but the fact that Astro King won his side, I mean, that could easily have been 3 from 20. It's not something I'd considered really about the stout. I didn't feel they were out of nick.
He's hitting the post a lot. Like there's a lot of places, but like I mean, just looking at Sangaris today, like Sangaris just dropped away completely, and I don't know. I wouldn't. Salistone, I placed still, but again, it's all third and fourth, that kind of thing. I would have a question mark on it, especially at 3.5.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's kick on to the race that follows, which is the feature. For many, the feature of the week, the Gold Cup. Stradivarius is 2.26 DC.
Yeah, and then Trushan is 5.7. Subjectivist is 7.6. The new Spanish Mission 19.5. Serpentine is 19.0. Santiago 25.0. Princess Zoe is 23.0. Twilight Payment 32.0. Orana Vian 48.0. Nave Road 60.0. Rip Van Lips 95.0 and Ben Lilly 120.0.
Straight back at you, Dees.
Yeah, I gone for another big price one in this. I think Princess Zoe kind of stood out to me straight away in this. She was very progressive last year. Obviously, Tony Mullins is a shrewd enough trainer. I'd say she's probably heading for the Arc at the end of the year, maybe. Again, she's 20.0. I reckon she'll go off a lot shorter than that. I can see her being supported. No, this is her first, or she's had 2 kind of bad runs, but they'll bring her on. I'd say this is probably her first main target of the year, and I'm happy enough to have a win in the place bet on her in this, although I think Stradivarius could be very hard to beat.
I mean, straight off the back of that, I'll just jump in with 2.26 Stradivarius. I think that's well worth taking. I just don't. I don't understand I don't understand why he's odds against. To be completely honest, it seems that preparation went pretty well, winning at the track over 2 miles on reappearance. I suppose people might be looking at Champions Day, but the ground wasn't just soft there. It said it was soft, but Gosden's main horses all ran badly there, and they've all bounced back. I mean, look what he did on soft ground last year. And I think the thing is, we all come into this season going, it's a stronger division this year. I mean, I know Trushan won on Champions Day, but I still think it's half a piss poor division. And Subjectivist won at Meydan when the race absolutely fell apart, and all the horses that had run in Saudi disappointed. The next in the betting is Serpentine, who's just a roll of the dice at this. So I'd be very strong at 2.26 Stradivarius, and I think if he goes off at odds against, it's just plain wrong. Steve,
I think the last time the Coolmore lads supplemented a horse for Ascot was Circus Maximus there a few years ago, and he absolutely balled it up. So they're not going to be spending the money for no reason, although couldn't be backing them at the same time. I'd rather stick with my mare.
Yeah, but I mean, Circus Maximus, I suppose that was a bit more of a known quantity. This boy is, I mean, look, maybe it's what he wants, but I don't know. I mean, it's a fair price. Jonesy.
Yeah, one thing I'd say about Stradivarius, don't worry about that Champions Day thing, because it was less than 2 weeks after he ran in the Arc. I think that was more to do with it than the ground, even, because he handled soft ground fine. He won by 10 lengths on soft ground in this race last year. It's not for me backing short ones at Royal Ascot in these big meetings, but I can see why people might want to get stuck in at that price. I was expecting him to be odds on.
Sam?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really put a hole in him, to be honest. I mean, there were one or two people that were trying to dig him out going into the meeting last year, and he absolutely answered them in spades with the 10-length defeat of Nairth Road, who's a pretty decent horse in his own right and a fair yardstick. So that was a career best at 6. Is he capable of running to that level again? Well, we haven't seen anything to the contrary, really, have we? He did what he had to do first time up, a bit like England playing Croatia. That they weren't spectacular, but they got the job done. They got 3 points, and that's exactly what he did on his reappearance. He is a very difficult horse to beat because he's got that perfect blend for a stayer of speed and stamina. And, you know, no matter how the races run or whatever they try and do in front, he always finds a way, certainly round here as well. I know he's been beaten twice here, but that both came in the autumn at the end of long seasons on desperate ground. So I wouldn't be damning him like that. I do think if they have a fair bit of rain, I think Trueshan will run really well. And I think if you're looking for a sporting bet against Stradivarius, if even money's not your bag, I think Trueshan at 6.0 is a perfectly viable candidate for this race. He's got to have soft ground. So if it's not soft enough, Dad Alan King will even run him. And he'll probably save him for the Northumberland Plate off about 10 stone 4 or something. I think that's the alternative plan. But, you know, he obviously hosed up the first time he sort of tackled Ascot 2 miles on deep ground on Champions Day. That was a Group 2, obviously. He's got to step up again. But he's a quality horse when the ground's soft. And he's a quality horse with Holly Doyle on. Only been beaten once in 4 starts, I think, with her riding. And that was at Chester last time where he just got outspeeded. So I think he's a perfectly viable each-way bet in this race, you know, win and place.
Would you only play if the ground went to a certain level?
I think they'll only run him if it goes to a certain level, Tom, if I'm honest. I think they will. I don't think he'll run on anything that's even just probably good ground. I think they'll want to see proper cut. If it's good to soft, I think that's absolutely fine. Because don't forget, he's not copper bottom stamina-wise, although the way that he ploughed on in that Group 2 last autumn suggests that 2.5 is no issue at all for him, really. If
you were going to part with cash, then you'd rather back Trueshan win and place than Stradivarius 2.26. Is that fair?
Yeah, and if Stradivarius comes strolling past me, great. You know, he's matched Yates and he's the best stayer. Well, I thought I'd seen the best stayer of my lifetime in Yates, but obviously I didn't have to wait too long for another one to roll along.
Dave Yates.
Well, he's not particularly a stayer. Not if he's had 3 pints of gold medal.
Good point. Good point. Well made. Right, we're done with Thursday. Let's kick on to Friday's action. We're going to start with the King Edward VII, and I'll get you some prices for this. This is the 305, so we've got the dead 8 going forward for this as things stand at the moment. Frighteningly, I agree with Deasy on most selections for this day. The top of the betting is the horse that I think Jonesy fancies, Alan Kerr, who's 3.0. The Mediterranean, who was beaten last time, is 5.5. Title is 6.0. Yabir, my horse to follow this year, has been gelded and very disappointing so far, 7.5. And then we're into the double figures. So I will start straight off with you, Jonesy.
Yeah, I tried to get him beat Alan Kerr, but I just couldn't, because I thought people would get carried away with the fact that he beat Adea, the Derby winner at Sandown, and I thought that he would just be overbet for that. But the form does make a lot of sense, even though I thought Adea was probably not suited by being held up so far off the pace, and Alan Kerr got a soft lead. But he likes soft ground. He's got that form in the book, which I think is the best. But I wouldn't be strong on him, but I just think he'll probably win.
Okay, I'll just jump in off the back of that, just because, like you, I sort of wanted to get him beat, and I think we can. But the main angle is, I actually thought with the form he might be shorter. I agree than 3.0. But the one thing about Sandown that day was you had to be on the speed and rail as well. And Adea wasn't, and was brilliant to go and win from off the pace. But Alan Kerr had it kind of go pretty perfectly, although you couldn't argue with Yabir either, and he didn't win. And I just thought there was a bit of value against in the form of possibly your beer, but he's shorter than I thought he might be. But Gear Up certainly is a bigger price than I think he should be. I know he's giving weight away, but 13.0 I thought was fair enough. Ground is no worry. There will be a bit of competition for the lead, but he's rated 111, and he's a Group 1 winner. He didn't like Epsom last time, and I'll forgive him York on his reappearance run as well. So I thought he was overpriced, Gear Up, and I think Deasy, you agree.
Absolutely, for all the reasons that you said there. I can. It's definitely going to be soft ground by Friday. I think he will handle it the best. Alan Carr, I definitely overbet just because he beat. I thought that was a weird race, Sandown. I'm sure we were all talking about that and what a strange race it was. They were all completely strung out. And Gear Up just stood out to me, and there's been a bit of money from him already, so I'm going to stick with him.
Jonesy, what do you want to come back with?
Yeah, I just wanted to make the point that there's the least gap between the Derby and in Royal Ascot that there can be this year, and I think people need to be aware of that in the Ribblesdale and this race in particular. Although I get the point that Mark Johnston's horses often are better at backing up than others, but it's something to think. It's been less than 2 weeks since the Derby.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very fair point. And actually, it was half the Johnston factor that I sort of used to half reassure myself about that. But I think that's an important point to make, because it can be an extra week, and normally is. Sam?
Yeah, not a race that I was that excited about, if I'm honest. I mean, I certainly see the case for Alan Kerr. Everyone can see it in the form book. I was quite taken with Title when he went at Yarmouth. He'd be the second Yarmouth winner to win of the week after Kimari's winning the Queen's Vase. And I got the speed figure for that pretty good. The ground was probably on the easy side as well, according to the going allowance, although the official going was probably good. I think it was a bit more digging it than that. And so hopefully he coped with that better than one or two others. And I think it's interesting that Roger Varian takes the plunge here and puts him into this race off 92. There's surely nice handicaps that he could have gone close to winning off that mark, certainly even at the Royal meeting. So the fact that he's happy to plunge him into this race could be a tip in itself. One horse that I think might bounce back to a bit of form at a huge price is Bellocchio, who was a soft ground juvenile pretty much and has run in 2 trials this year, including behind Alan Kerr, and then in the Dante last time where he didn't cut much ice. But the fact that David Manoussier just perseveres with this level with him, he'll be hoping that the heavens open overnight. Obviously that's a proviso, and he's going to need that, and that might take away the each way angle if it does rain and the ground deteriorates. But he's definitely one on my radar for perhaps a small win and place bet at a big price, just for a bit of fun. Yeah,
and 26.0 Bellocchio. So a very fair price for him, win and place. So that's the King Edward VII. Couple of shouts for Gear Up, Alan Kerr. Small stakes, it sounds, for Stephen. Bellocchio had a big price for Sam. We move on to the Commonwealth Cup, which is the 340 on Friday. And we've got a big field for this. 21 at the moment, might change depending on what happens with ground conditions, of course. At the top of the betting currently is Wesley Ward's filly, who was a winner at the Royal meeting last year. Currently 5.5. Swayzer is 6.0 under William Buick. Dragon Symbol 9.0. Supremacy 12.0. And it really is bigger prices from there on in. So a nice big open field we've got for this. Straight back at you, Sam. Who do you fancy?
Not a race that I've been through in any huge depth yet, basically because of the volume of runners, etc. But obviously Campanelle ticks a lot of boxes. She copes with soft ground, courtesy of that pre-morning win. She looks reasonably drawn in 14. Frankie on for Wesley Ward. You can see why she's sort of gravitated towards the head of the market. I would definitely be looking to have a little bit of a saver on her, whatever I back in the race. I've got a lot of time for Dragon Symbol. Thought it was a bit unlucky not to win at Haydock on heavy ground, so at least proves that does cope with plenty of cut in the ground, has improved remarkably this year. If it can peak again, another big player here. And just one other horse that I've got an eye on because the form has worked out so well is Johnny Murtaugh's filly, Measure of Magic, who yet again has progressed with each run this year. Reading the quotes from connections, 5 and 6 will come alike to her. She's won on a couple of stiff tracks over 5.5 anyway, so I don't envisage the 6 being a problem. Whether she'd want it really, really soft or not, I don't know. But she would be another one, I think, at 14 or 15.0, which would definitely take my eye. She's drawn at the stand side rail as well. So yet again, watch how the racing pans out on Thursday with the cut in the ground and see whether that's a positive. And you might want to move and take an early price about her if the stand side seems favoured when conditions deteriorate.
Yeah, I think that's worth pointing out, is that if something is influencing the rail, then or a rail either side, then the price might go on your selection if they are drawn on that side. So Measure Magic 15.0 win and place you'd probably want on side, Sam.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I haven't really nailed my colours to any particular mass there, but yeah, of the two decent prices that will both go on the ground, you would think Dragon Symbol, a Measure of Magic, and then I would probably just have Campanelle on side just to square the race up, really.
Fair enough. Campanelle, who is 5.5, so you could go wooden place if you so desired. Jonesy.
I'm with Clive Cox, and this time Hector Crouch, because I fancy Diligent Harry. Now, this horse hasn't run on the turf, but we saw today in the Hunt Cup, horses that like all-weather surfaces, like Ascot, generally when they go to turf. And Diligent Harry has looked really smart to me. Won his first two starts because he only made his debut in January, so you would think he'd be progressing quite rapidly. And he won his first two starts. Then he was beaten a short head by Rohan. Well, that doesn't look bad form at all now, because Rohan beat Dragon Symbol in the Sandy Lane at Haydock on Temple Stakes Day. So the form makes sense. And Diligent Harry's had a nice break since winning at Lingfield in a really nice performance. And it was the fact, it was kind of rather than the strength of the form, which on the all-weather is sometimes a bit hit and miss, the performance was really impressed. I thought was really impressive from Diligent Harry. And there's soft ground in his pedigree. Again, he's got the all-weather form. And I think he's had a nice break since that run. I think it was in April. And because he only made his debut in January, you would imagine there's a fair chance that he would be progressing at a rapid rate, or a more rapid rate than some, for that time off the track. So I think this is a clever plan from Clive Cox. So Diligent Harry for me. I was going to say Angel.
Diligent Angel 15.0, and you definitely hit upon something with that. Or you see it time and time again on the straight course. All-weather form translates very, very well to it. Deasy.
Hugh Taylor actually did a very good article explaining why that happens there a few years ago. To something when
Hugh Taylor, yeah, Hugh Taylor this. Hugh Taylor that. Hugh Taylor found the winner of the Sodding Hunt Cup. Happy day.
I like Hugh Taylor because he's too expensive. That's the only reason I'm here, probably, because you'd have got a Hugh Taylor otherwise.
His Wi-Fi's not great either, Steve.
Yeah, that's it. That's the issue.
Yeah, that's what Google anyway for interest in that kind of thing. But anyway, big good time for Diligent Harry. Thought he was really good on all-weather championships day. But I've gone for two mares on this. I just thought Sacred is going to be there about 25 or 26.0. Like, Sacred was only a length behind Campanelle in the Queen Mary last year. Now she's had a go at the mile. Didn't suit her at all. I think she's definitely a 6 furlong horse. The ground is a question mark, but I just thought she was massively overpriced at 26.0. And the one I'd be a lot more solid on is Miss Amulet, Ken Condon's horse. Now she's a great season last year. She's very versatile on ground and trip as well. She's hardly out. She had already beaten Sacred and a few other of the mares in this race, and again she's going to be about 20.0. I think that's a cracking price. So I'll back both of them win in place, and maybe Diligent Harry as well if I have a few bob in the account after the first few races.
I completely agree with you, Dees, on Ken Condon's horse, or Miss Amulet. He's got two in this. I just can't work out why she's 26.0. I mean, the Breeders' Cup form is rock solid. She finished ahead of Campanelle. She finished just behind Mother Earth, and Last time it was a belated reappearance. It was a heavy ground race over a mile. I don't think she saw it out. Her best form was, I don't know, she's won on good to soft. I just can't work out why she's that sort of price, just based upon one disappointing run in a Guineas. And you see plenty of horses come back in trip, and the likes of Muhara, who came back in trip and won this, and advertised it as well, didn't he? Yeah, for Martin Mee, kept running a Guinea. So anyway, I think she's a massive price, and I can't really work out why. I don't know if I sort of hope they ride her patiently, because she does have the speed to go forward, but I'd hope she doesn't go forward, that is. And I'd also have a bit on Jumbie, on the angle that I think that Charlie Bishop rides this track really well, and I think that this could just set up to really suit. Has won over the 7 here, but there is likely to be a bundle of pace on. They'll go hard, and I think a horse that stays 7, he did well to. In fact, he probably did better on his run behind Creative Force last time he won, but there was a bit of a headwind that day, so it was suiting those from off the pace. But I think this track will really suit. So Jumbie at 15.0 and 26.0 for Miss Amulet for me. I think we are done on the Commonwealth Cup. Let's kick on to the Coronation Stakes. So this is at 4:20 and over the mile on the round course. This, and currently sitting pretty at the top of the betting is Mother Earth, the Guineas winner, who was beaten in France last time. She is 3.5, 4.5. Sorry, Empress Josephine 7.0, as is Pretty Gorgeous. Primo Bacio 8.0. Alcohol Free 13.0, as is Snow Lantern, and then we're into the even bigger prices. Jonesy, you've got quite a strong opinion about this, right?
Yeah, I'm with O'Brien, but the Joseph version, because I think Pretty Gorgeous. I think at the price is Pretty Gorgeous, who is obviously, I know we haven't got Adele or we haven't got Rixie and Don, but it's clearly, if there was ever a horse that was for the Matchbook pod, it would be Pretty Gorgeous, wouldn't it? I mean, look at it.
It's Sam, I think, who's flying the flag today. Just it's a great bit.
Those glasses of yours, are they just for show, or do they actually work?
Well, some people would say that I don't know what I'm looking at sometimes, but I'm sure with Pretty Gorgeous, we're onto something here. Now, she was virtually the best juvenile filly over this sort of trip last season. She ended with that win in soft ground at Newmarket in the Fillies Mile, when Mother Earth was behind, Shale was behind, and way behind was Snowfall, who is obviously come out and done something incredible this year. But the twice she got beat last year was again by Shale, who she seemed to meet in every race, but that was on good ground both times. Now, if it's soft, and Friday it is meant to tip it down, and this is fairly late afternoon, it's going to be soft ground, and she loves that. Now, she was beaten when favourite for the Irish Guineas. She'd missed the Guineas at Newmarket with, I can't remember now, but it was not an injury. It was a bad scope, I think. So the fact that she was able to run so well in the Irish Guineas when she was 7th, on the back of a bad scope, I think it bodes well. And the fact was she was drawn 14 of 14, and she came so wide, but she was forced to race wide, and she came so wide into the straight because of that wide draw. And then she got messed around a little bit, but she went through that race like the best horse, in my opinion. And I know Empress Josephine's in here, who flew home. I mean, I can't see Empress Josephine on a track like Ascot, although the straight's long enough. It's not like the Curragh where you're able to really wind up from the rear. And Pretty Gorgeous is quite a big horse. She's a really big filly. So natural improvement from that. I just love her. If it's soft ground, I think she is an astonishingly good bet.
Strong on Pretty Gorgeous at 7.0 for Jonesy. Would you be win and place at that, Steve?
No, good God, no. We're just going win.
Love it.
We don't mess around with that. What's the point of having half your stake on for a place?
Look at that. Just the quiff's got even taller. Love it. Do you agree, Sam Turner?
That quiff's on a button, isn't it? He presses a button under his table and it goes higher. I never thought I'd see anybody with a higher quiff than you, Tom. I've got to be honest, but Josie's eclipsed you. Yeah, I think it's a really interesting race. It's one that I'm struggling to get an angle on at the moment. I think if the ground was genuinely good, I would back Ed Walker's filly, Prima Bacio, because I haven't seen a horse with a turn of foot or a filly with a turn of foot like hers. She displayed at York for quite some time. I thought that was just a spectacular performance, and the second has won since. But I'm just a little bit worried that if it does go very soft by Friday afternoon, that might blunt her speed. Do you know what? I think a lot of the Irish fillies are much of a muchness, so I'm going to take a chance with a German filly. If it gets bottomless, I'm going to back November, who's the winner of the German Guineas. Made all, won by 6 or 7 lengths. I have no clue what that form is worth particularly, but I don't see a lot of pace angles in the race. She's drawn 1, and I thought she'd just bounce out under Peter Jürgen, and might give you a bit of fun at a double figure price. So I think sometimes these German horses that come across, and indeed some of the French, are criminally under bet given the quality of the horse that they are. I mean, she's by Glen Eagles, she's well bred, handles soft ground really well, and you might need a bit of a mudlark if Jones's forecasting is pretty good with the weather on Friday afternoon. So I'll take a small chance with her as it stands at the moment.
I'm going to jump in there just because I completely agree that that's the way to play it. She's 15.0, and if it is soft, a few horses come out. She's drawn 1 and likely to go forward. I mean, genuinely, she could go off. If that happens, she'll go off half that. So it could well be I'll put her up, but she could easily be a trading angle, and just line yourself up for a free bet on November, because if the rain comes and a few come out, and the trading boys want to get involved, given that she's going to go forward, then 15.0 will be long gone. And I'd also chance Potapova. I don't know about the ground. I mean, her dam is she's out of a pivotal mare. So look, maybe that's the line in there. She won on good last time. Just Stouty, obviously he's in great form. But I just think the fact that she's lining up here, I think, is interesting enough. And a bit like you, I sort of think that maybe because there's no standout, it might just be a year for something that's they've been a bit more patient with. And I thought she was worth chancing again at 15.0. Dees?
No bet for me in this. I was looking at her up, but I just not pushed in the price, and I'm just going to keep money in my pocket for this one.
Okay, fair enough. Let's kick on to Saturday. Saturday. Now, we don't have full decks for this, so that doesn't make life easy. But we sort of know what's likely to turn up in the Group 2 and Group 1s. The Wokingham, that's a little bit harder as things stand. We do have prices at the moment, but rather than it's sort of 5.5 the field, but rather than go through all of those, because we're not sure what's going to turn up, I'll just ask you for sort of thoughts on the race and a bet, if you like. Dees, I'll come back to you straight away.
Yeah, just in the Hardwicke, I think if one from tonight turns up, I think that she's an unbelievable winning place bet. It's her first start of the season, but I think she's probably one of the class acts in the field. I mean, she won very well in Champions Day. She'll be getting the mayor's allowance no matter who turns up. And again, you're going, like, at the moment, she's there about 10.0, 11.0. I'd be very happy with that.
And I'm going to follow you straight in there. I've got nothing to add, but again, it's just a line on the ground. If we're expecting soft ground, how is she going to go? She's 13.0 currently. So I think if you can, take an early price. William Buick's dropped up already. I know she hasn't had a run since Champions Day, but he rode her really well to win on Champions Day. On the ground, if a few come out, she'll go off single figures. So I would completely agree with that. 13.0, wonderful tonight. Steve Jones.
Yeah, if it is a bog, and it could be, because if the amount of rain that's forecast on Friday appears, it could be really testing. And Ilarab will absolutely love it. I love this horse. What he does is the complete opposite of a lot of these flat horses who travel through the race and then get it done. He doesn't travel at all, but he winds up and he just keeps grinding away, and soft ground, he just slices through it. And I know he's got to step up from handicaps, but the way he won at York last time, when again he came from the rear, he didn't look like he was going very well. And 3 furlongs out, I've just thought he wins, because that's what he does all the time. And I'm sure he's up to this sort of level. This is a perfect race for him. And if they go a decent pace on deep ground, I think he's got a great chance.
10.0 for Ilarab, who I think has been your best bet a couple of times and has won both times. Has done you a good few solids. Looks a really good horse. What about you, Sam?
I'm going to plead the Fifth Amendment here, Tom. I think it looks too hard for me at the moment, this race. I mean, there's 18, 19 horses. Loads have got Ascot form. Loads want cut in the ground. I think I want to see the final field before I nail my colours to a mast. I think that Coronation Stakes run of Al-Azi, I still thought there was plenty of merit in that. He was taking on a horse with experience of Epsom. I don't think the track suited him particularly. If the ground comes in his favour and Jim Crowley chooses him over Hookham, that would be an interesting one for me. I think William Haggis has got a strong hold on this race, really, with Ilarab as well, as Steve mentioned. He's a horse I've got tons of time for, and what he did at York was pretty scintillating, to be honest. And the only other one I'd want to throw in is probably Alba Flora, who's going to be a big price, loves soft ground, hacked up here, beating Tribal Craft by 6 or 7 lengths, and could be one of interest at 16-1, but no selection for me yet.
No, I think that's fair enough. You're probably the sensible one. And I really I like what you say about Al-Azi, who I ended up backing, having said that he'd need to go to a certain price if the ground came out soft, and it did. And I think Pile Driver, everyone was going, oh, he was a bit wayward, didn't like the track and still won and battled on. And it was almost as if Al-Azi ducked it. I just think he hated Epsom. So I don't think, like you say, I think it was as bad as it looked, that he didn't go through and win, even though he traded at the minimum.
Speed figure was brilliant for the race as well, and Pile Driver had been there before, albeit he'd had a tortuous run, hadn't he, in the Derby, but at least he got experience of the place. And Al-Azi, who's just been crawling around Newbury, cantering up in some decent races, but never coming off the bridle, it all probably got to him a little bit. I think he would have learnt a lot from that performance.
The Diamond Jubilee next up is the 420. And we've got a better idea of what's going to line up based upon jockey bookings here at the moment. Starman is the horse that does currently head the betting, who is a 4.75 shot. Dream of Dreams is 5.5, 7.0 for Nahar, 12.0 Art Power, Cape Byron, Glen Shield, then into the even bigger double figures. Sam, I'll come straight back to you on this one. Again, too tricky without the final field, or have you got one that might be interesting?
I think if I had to have a bet now, if Jonesy was sending me a tenner, and I'd have a 5 each way Dream of Dreams, yeah, look at that's put the fear of God into him. That almost brought the quiff down as well, didn't it, Steve? That yeah, he's just a horse I think that needs Ryan more. Ryan's got great figures on him of late. Not that Asheen Murphy's done much wrong on him when he's ridden him, but he's finished second 3 times at Ascot. He was beaten by the length of Jonesy's quiff last year, and you know he's the kind of horse that you probably want to be on each way, really. You know, if he gets a fairly decent draw, the rains come. I know it's heartbreaking to start putting up a 7-year-old to win one of the premier sprints of the summer, but I do think he's a bit of a chicken bet, really. I think he'll run his race at Ascot, whereas 1 or 2 of the others, Starman's still got to prove it here, and 1 or 2 of the others in behind aren't necessarily dyed-in-the-wool Ascot horses, whereas he is. As I say, he's finished second 3 times there, run really creditably in this race, and goes well for Ryan Moore. With a stout team in blistering form, what more could you want?
Jonesy.
I thought it was interesting that Starman's obviously very, very progressive young sprinter, only 4-year-old. But there's another 4-year-old in there who I think has probably achieved more, certainly last season, in Art Power, who goes on soft ground, finished 4th behind Dream of Dreams in the Haydock Sprint Cup for a 3-year-old. So he was busy last season. He had a hard season for a 3-year-old, and he still kept coming back. It was only beaten a length and a quarter behind Glen Shield at Ascot on Champions Day, where Holly Doyle obviously dictated, and he just couldn't get to Glen Shield Art Power. And although I was disappointed in the Duke of York behind Starman when he was well beaten, he was just too fresh. He was really fresh and keen, and Sylvester de Sousa never seemed to be in control. And although he does take a bit of a grip, I think with that freshness knocked out of him, he wouldn't be one to give up. Well, I wouldn't want it too soft. He handles soft ground fine, but I wouldn't want it too soft because he's quite quick.
That is Art Power for you. I can't remember if I gave you a price for Art Power. Apologies if I didn't. I will do so very shortly. I think about 8.0, but I'll look to come back on that. Dees?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I'm going to take a swing at the Irish horse, Paddy Toomey's horse, Sinela. I think there's still a bit of progression in her. I think she was very consistent last year. She finished, her form was 1-1, 2-3, and she finished 10th in Champions Royal Ascot. I think she was completely over the top. She won there, I think it was 14 days ago at the Corona on yielding ground. Much better run than her on her debut. In her debut, she ran very well, finished third. She is going to be about 20.0, I think. She's getting the mayor's allowance. She's a nice big price. She has run an Ascot before. Paddy Toomey is a very shrewd trainer, and I'm quite willing to take a chance on her at a double figure price winning place.
21.0 for her.
Yeah.
I was really tempted by her, and then I a bit like Sam really on as he was mentioning with Starman and the fact that he technically still has to prove himself at this track. I think he's probably the best horse in this Starman, and he should be favourite because he was said to need that run last time. And Sinela, she probably still has to prove herself here. I couldn't find any excuses on Champions Day necessarily, for all she may just be better this year. As it is, I think this is one where I really have to wait to see what lines up, where the pace is going to be. Nahar's a tempting horse, but because I think Cut will be fine, but I think he really is going to want some pace to aim at. And I couldn't back Starman currently at the prices, so it's a sit and wait job. But Starman, Nahar, and Sinela are the ones that interest me most personally. We've all had a go in the Diamond Jubilee. So let's kick on with handicap bets. Right, you don't have to give too many as far as explanation goes, because there could be a few here, but handicap bets that you are looking forward to having for the rest of the Royal Meeting. Don't have to go for something, but if there's anything in mind, then let us know. Dees, what you got?
I've got two in the Britannia now tomorrow. Radaborg, Roger Varian's horse, thought he was wildly impressive the last time at Haydock on heavy ground, so any bit of juice in the ground is going to really suit him. There's been a bit of money for him. Now, he's gone up 11 pounds for that win the last time, but he's been very good his last two runs. I really fancy him. And the other one in that race is Cadder, Mark Johnson's horse, second in the Coventry last year. That was about as good as it got, but he won over a mile, and he won over a mile at the start of the season. He's been given a nice break for this now. I think he might this might be a target. Again, he's a juicy enough price. Another horse
sorry, I'll just come back in. Radaborg 8.5 and Carter is 29.0.
29.0. I'll have plenty of fun with that. In the Buckingham Palace, I like Persuasion, Charlie Hill's horse. He won first time out, and he beat Dulles, who was franked that farm since. Now, this is going to be one of the stronger ones, but I think he's a big price as well. He's going to be about 25 or 26.0. I'll be doing winning place in him. In the Sandringham,
just for the sake of accuracy, that is, I'm afraid, quite well gone. I don't know whether he's been put up somewhere, but he's more like a 15.0 shot. Sorry, Dees.
Happy days. Okay, that's all right. Sandringham, I like Theodolina, Richard Hannon's horse. She finished behind Radaborg the last time in at Haydock, and she'd handled the ground. She didn't really get much luck in running, and she ended up way wide up by herself. She'd no chance with the winner, but she was staying on. She won, of course, over the course of distance in a 0-85 as well at the start of the season from a low draw. She's out, I think, she's stalled 3 this time, so I'll have a bit on her. And Jesse Harrington's horse, Ace Aussie in the Jersey. Now, I've got tips for this horse. I think every time it has run, I think the yard really fancy it. Start of the season, second to Poetic Flair over 7 furlongs. Not sure what price she is, but I think he's supposed to be a good horse. So those are my 5 for the handicaps.
Okay, and don't forget the cheat sheet that will on the Insights post that will be up to confirm all of those. Sam, anything?
Yeah, I'm gonna, if it's okay with you, I haven't really got to Friday and Saturday's handicaps yet, so I'll sort of major very briefly on tomorrow. I like Dubai Honor in the Britannia. William Haggis's horse hasn't had a run yet this year, but William must have had a load of 3-year-old milers that he could have run in this. I mean, he's got 300 horses. There must be a few kicking around the place, and the fact that he's only just got the one who's been gelded and wears the tongue tie for the first time, I think that's quite interesting. Coached with soft ground okay as well. Tom Marcan booked. I thought 21.0, something around that figure was very fair for his chance. He put up a couple of good speed figures last year as a juvenile, so you would hope that he could build on that this year. The King George V Stakes wide draw has been a real positive, I think, in this race in the last 10 years. I think something like 46 horses out of the last 60 to finish in the first 6 for the last 10 years have all been 10 or higher. So I'm certainly not put off by a wide draw here. So I think if the rain comes, Surrey Gold would be my pick in this race. I thought I was really impressed with him at Newbury. Quite how he's got in here off a mark of 87 or not is open to question for me, really, because I was really taken with him. Must have soft ground, but I think at 11.0 he won't run unless the conditions are in his favour. And then just a couple of darts in the last race, the Buckingham Palace. I'm going to back Volatile Analyst, which is owned by Jonesy, clearly. And this is drawn 32 up the stands rail. If that is the place to be, he's a horse that hung left when he hit the front at York last time, but he clocked a really good number that day. And if he hangs left here, well, that'd be fine because he'll end up on the stand side rail. So I think he's 20 plus. I don't mind having a bit of a chance with him, and I'll take one on the far side as well. Good old Ropey Guest, who goes to Ascot yet again. Been there more times than the Queen in recent times, and you know he's 34.0. Thought he ran really well in that competitive handicap in May. So with the ground to suit, I think he'll run all right.
Ropey Guest is a much better description of Jonesy than Volatile Analyst. Steve, your handicappers.
The first of them is you'll have to scroll a long way down in the Britannia betting for this one because it's going to be a massive price. We've had Pretty Gorgeous. Now is Beautiful Bertie. And Beautiful Bertie, I thought, ran really well behind Eldari. He was a very progressive horse of William Haggis's. At Ascot, over 7 furlongs. Now, and that was in a small field. He definitely wants a mile and a big field. And that's what he's got. So Beautiful Bertie in the Britannia.
Yeah.
And the other one, we all want a surefire winner. So in the King George handicap, surefire.
Lovely job. Surefire in the King George handicap.
That's why the Mirror snapped him up, isn't it, Tom? You know, that's why the paper for winners.
9.0 for surefire. Beautiful Bertie is a big old price at 41.0. I've got 2 in the Britannia, either side. One is Royal Pleasure, who the all-weather form translating to the straight course at Ascot, drawn 3, 21.0. And Charlie Appleby's Quintilis, who has been gelded, has also all-weather form. And last time at the Sandown meeting was way out the back. No chance has been gelded. He's drawn the other side, 29.0. And also Lord Rapscallion at 19.0. Under Marco Ghiani had his winner at the course. And for Tom Morley, who had Arecibo run really well in the Buckingham Palace Stakes, I think that horse could go really well off a strong pace. I think the track will suit, although he doesn't win very often. Those are my handicappers. Right, best bets, and we're going to get it done in under the hour. Quickly, best bets then. Steve Jones, your best bets from anything we've discussed.
Pretty Gorgeous.
You certainly are. Sam Turner, your best bet.
Point Lonsdale in the Chesham.
Oh, I love a curveball. Point Lonsdale in the Chesham. Micheál, Deasy, your best bet.
Radabarg in the Britannia.
Ooh, Radaburg in the Britannia. And it's pathetic, isn't it? But Stradivarius, I think 2.37, we said. Ridiculous. Just sit back and watch him win. Great stuff. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of Royal Ascot. Keep an eye out for the other sports podcasts as well. It's the US Open this weekend, the ongoing Euros as well. And we'll be back again next week. But there's plenty more of Royal Ascot to go through the last 3 days. Keep an eye out for the cheat sheet on Insights as well, with all the best bets up there. Sam, thank you. DC, thank you. Steve Jones, thank you. And thank you, Ducky. Bye-bye.